We know what we're looking for in a winner, and each task helps us to get closer to that point.
You're dismissed.
I didn't come to play around, I came to win. This competition means stepping out of my comfort zone.
What I've learned from the activities, and then I'm gonna put that together, come up with a strategy and take it one day at a time.
I don't want to go in and say this is my strategy and this is exactly how I'm going to win. I think that needs to go through a process of being adapted.
Strategic alliances is quite important, and being prepared, always being prepared for every task that you go to.
I have a deep desire to be the best. I think that's what drives me. If you don't compete, how do you know that you're the best?
The Insurance Apprentice is the perfect platform for me to display the skills and the techniques that I've learned within the insurance industry and to share that with the rest of South Africa.
If I forget that they're good and they made it here this far because they were good, then I would lose the competition.
Being able to, answer questions, handle tasks well, and just engage with the team members.
Today is possibly the most challenging task that you'll face this season. It's all about making sure that if disaster strikes, you can recover from that. But who doesn't enjoy getting something for nothing? Who doesn't enjoy something free? Perhaps a little persuader to enter into a contract. Today's task will deal with inducements. And we're joined by Caroline De Silva from the FSB, who are today's sponsor. And I know you've had some briefing already, but I'm just going to hand over to Caroline to give you a bit more information.
You were asked to pretend or play as if you were an FSB employee. And I think the important part of that aspect is that the mandate of the FSB is to ensure that customers are treated fairly. We are not a consumer watchdog. We are here to make sure that financial services companies treat their customers fairly. So in your presentation, I'm hoping to see that you put the customer first while still balancing the stability and the sustainability of the insurance sector. I really look forward to hearing your presentations today, and I wish you lots of luck.
Thanks, Caroline. We've kept the last 4 contestants as we've gone into the end of the contest. Today we're going to be mixing things up a little. And I'm sorry to say that if you don't get the task right today, one of you will be going home. Give it your best shot. You're dismissed.
So the last task today was an FSB task, and it had quite a few things that we needed to consider in terms of it's not one question with one answer.
So the FSB is really important, and it plays a really important role in the insurance industry.
We were asked to come in and act really as the regulator and to assist in putting together some guidelines that the regulator or the registrar of the FSB can really use to consider whether or not an offer out there in the industry amounts to an inducement.
Regulation is like this beast that we don't really deal with, or you hear all these things, and to really get to grips with some of the provisions was super interesting.
So I suppose what we try to do, although we've only participated twice in the Insurance Apprentice, is to give the contestants something real, something that we're grappling with. Ask them to put themselves in the position as if they were an FSB employee and really give us something meaningful that we can use in drafting regulations and our approach to the industry and the way forward.
We have to try and balance good business practices with making customers feel comfortable that we're acting in their interests as an industry, and I think that kind of underpins everything that we've been talking about today.
So we really make sure that in our future environment that financial institutions conduct themselves in such a way that customers are treated fairly, and that they conduct themselves so that we can build customer confidence in the sector.
So my approach to this task was not to do it alone. It's one of those tasks where you do need to actually liaise with different divisions within a company, you know, like a compliance department, the marketing side of the company as well.
I think I spent a lot of time and energy and effort on the presentation and doing a lot of research. And then at one stage I sort of stopped and I went, okay, what's my strategy now? Where am I going with this presentation?
In business, things don't always go as you plan. So you do all the preparations and you think, yes, I'm going to bring it, I'm going to smash it, and then life happens, you know, we're human, but it doesn't stop at the same time. So as much as life happens, you have to keep going.
Trying to understand what the judges were looking for and how I could put across a strong message with what I wanted to present.
And it's been a challenging one for the competitors today. They did have a bit of time to prepare so that they didn't walk in cold.
My strongest competition right now is Knox. Her eagerness to give it her all, and her knowledge. She actually has a lot of knowledge, and it's been quite interesting to tap into her head as well.
It would have to be a toss-up between Kay and Carl.
I think the strongest competitor is definitely Kay. I think she's been the most consistent throughout the competition, and I'd definitely put my money on her.
Carl is a very strong competitor. He's very strong intellectually, he's got a brilliant business mind and a great insurance background. He's a team player, and I think for those reasons, really, he is my strongest competition.
If you come in here and you recite the regulations or go off on a tangent as to why direct insurance companies shouldn't be allowed to have inducements, that's really going down the wrong route, and it's not really what we're looking for. And I think that's also important for us. You know, it's about consistent performance.
The other thing I want them to do is use some initiative and do some research outside their own sphere. So outside of short-term insurance, maybe into life insurance, to look internationally, and that's what I would be hoping for.
Thank you for seeing me today. I would like today to be more of an interaction in a one-way presentation. So to kick us off, I would just like to get a better understanding of your view on inducements.
I would prefer that you gave your presentation based on your own findings rather than hear ours, Carl.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
The company have tried to use these inducements to entice the customer to take up their product offering. Another reason why these inducements have worked so much is that because with the technology movement...
Sorry, Carl, do you really need to read your notes, or can you just kind of articulate? It's quite difficult for us to follow if you're reading.
Sure, I'll try.
No problem in referring to them, and you can put them on the table. You don't have to put them in your lap.
We need to make sure that this regulation is focused on offering the customer exactly what they need, which is the correct cover for their needs at the most competitive price. If we can achieve the correct regulatory environment for these companies, we can create an environment where the consumer, with a better long-term product that we're offering the consumer. In order to create this environment, we have to create a non-exhaustive list of prohibited inducements within the insurance industry that should not be allowed to... The problem that I have with a lot of inducements in the marketplace is it takes away from the cover that they're being offered, and it creates additional expenses for the companies that are offering the inducements, where I think this spend could better be used to offer the clients a better product, and in the long term have a more sustainable company that keeps offering the customer good products without offering them inducements to attain new customers.
Okay, so I just want to come in there. In terms of the way the law is currently phrased, all inducements are prohibited. The law is shifted to say there's a general prohibition unless you meet the following. So it's almost looking at a list of permissible inducements rather than the opposite, which you're saying is prohibited inducement.
Yeah, my approach to having the list is to give a more clear indication to the companies what they cannot offer.
Okay, so you're saying we have a list of what's permissible, but you also have a statement
Also
of what's
have
not permitted.
of what's not,
Okay.
not permissible.
Okay.
I didn't feel like I got across the message that I wanted to. Didn't feel comfortable in the presentation, and I don't think I arrived today. Trying to understand what the judges were looking for and how I could put across a strong message with what I wanted to present. And I don't think I executed what I wanted to do very well.
I've never seen him so nervous.
Yeah, no, he was nervous. He was nervous that, I mean, is he nervous because of the topic? Is he nervous because it's the FSB? I felt heart sore for him.
I've noticed this about him in the other tasks, in that he's better in the interaction. I think that maybe he had a plan. His plan was we were going to tell him what our thoughts were,
Okay, yeah.
and then he was going to work through that, build on it, because his strength is the interaction.
Okay.
I feel like I missed about 7.5 minutes of what he was saying. I missed a bunch of time because he was reading it. Only afterwards, when we started engaging, did I start remembering what he was saying.
So now marketing initiatives have been increased in terms of the benefits that are offered to prospective consumers. So we need to now determine whether is there a line crossed between clever marketing as well as inducement. The most important one in relation to this particular topic is the products and services marketed and sold in the retail market are designed to meet the needs of the identified customer groups, as well as are they targeted accordingly.
Do you not think that the whole sort of cashback principle, though, might be there to say to the policyholder, just like an excess, look, we don't want you to claim for every single thing, because what you're buying here is a catastrophe type insurance,
okay.
which is what it should be there for, you know.
They're not approaching their marketing and the inducement benefit with the hope of a risk management.
Then how is the cashback any different? I'm not understanding why one should be allowed and the other one not allowed.
We are rewarding, yes, in the background. At renewal, we'll take up your CFG, but we are this particular cashback benefit drive is taking the client, or the consumer rather, to only going to that particular company for that. That is their main purpose of actually taking that policy.
Yes.
So that is where the concern is. My next point is the principles that I have identified that can be considered. And the first one is the benefits offered must not only be promoted over and above the actual product. So if the benefit is advertised more than the actual product, then it should be considered as an inducement.
So you're saying there that the no-claim bonus should be an impermissible inducement?
No, but
I'm misunderstanding.
I think there is a bit of a misunderstanding, because with the no-claims bonus, their clients are told when they take out the policy that to improve your premiums at renewal, if you don't claim, we'll look at the performance of the policy, we'll then increase your no-claims bonus. But it's been said and it's been advised, looking at this whole thing and with the examples of what's currently happening, and I will reiterate it, and I think it's very important that yes, if they do want to lure the clients with such, let us not take away the reason behind why clients are taking the cover.
Okay.
That is being lost.
A balanced approach.
There needs to be a balanced approach, yes.
Thanks, Kay.
Thanks, Kay. You're dismissed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I gave it my all, and there was certain moments where I felt that I could have incorporated something else. For example, the global perspective with regards to this. I feel I could have tapped in more on that.
Okay, so what did you think, Caroline?
Yeah, so I mean, she's got a nice presentation put together here, but if you read it, you'll find that there's a lot missing. The words don't flow. It's almost as if something's gone. So I struggled to follow some of the things she was saying. I also, for me, think she sort of misinterpreted the task, in that her presentation was more about why inducements were bad, where the question was more about what can we do to make permissible inducements, because inducements can sometimes be good.
I like her presentation style. She's very confident.
Yeah.
I thought she interacted with us very well.
Challenges, which is good.
Yes.
She challenges well. She
Yes.
doesn't get defensive. She challenges well, which I thought was good.
Agreed. If the benefit is advertised more than the actual product, then it should be considered.
Yeah, I like that
inducement.
principle. I thought that was a very...
Sums it up really nicely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking the time to come and chat to me today. And my objective of today really is we as the regulator need to take into consideration when determining whether or not an offer out there in the industry amounts to a permissible inducement or does it amount to an illegal inducement. We don't want to stifle creative innovation. We don't want to stop businesses coming up with smart, clever business ideas that not only attract but retain customers in the industry. The key principle that I really want to get to today is what we are trying to benefit must be linked directly to the asset that we're insuring. So the example of the car is I'm insuring as your motor policy, I'm insuring your vehicle. The benefit that I'm offering you is linked directly to the asset insured. And I'm saying that a guideline that shouldn't necessarily be taken into account is if that benefit's being offered by a third party, it doesn't mean it's indicative that it is an inducement.
So are you saying that the claims-free grouping issue that insurers have always done in motor policies is an inducement?
No, I don't think it's necessarily an inducement. Why? Because I think that it doesn't fall outside of the definition of the insurance contract. I think it falls part of the benefits offered by the policy. Looking at two sets of policy wordings and benefits and extensions and excesses, are they comparable? And if but for throwing in that sweetener, would people have taken out that policy? Was it a sustainable product to not only the consumer, but also to the insurer?
Okay. Thanks, Sam.
I try to sort of stick to my original guidelines and my original plan of this is where I want to go with the presentation and not try and get lost in thinking too much now. I really didn't want to get derailed with where I was going with the presentation.
She was passionate about it, she thought about it, she gave some examples of what she thinks were bad inducements.
Yeah, I thought she did a good job of framing the task, setting the scene.
Understanding the FSB.
Yes, yeah, so she clearly illustrated that. She didn't mention anything about international trends, which I know you were hoping some of them would chat about. I was really struggling to kind of grasp the point that she was trying to make.
Yeah, and I think it went back to that when we challenged it or tried to unpack it, the response was not necessarily.
Yes.
So you weren't quite sure what the position was.
Yes.
Yeah.
As the FSB, you know, we're not looking to stifle competition, and I think that was an important point to underline.
Essentially, insurance is not about add-ons. It's about the transfer of risk from policyholder to insurer. Benefits may well be positive, right, which was the case here, but it's absolutely inexcusable to have them outside of legal oversight. The resulting loopholes, should that judgment have gone the other way, or if this actual provision didn't exist at all, would just open the floodgates of regulatory arbitrage. We can't have that. So, following the case, the prohibition of inducement clauses of the Short-Term Insurance Act and the Long-Term Insurance Act were amended in 2013 to allow for a qualification that said only inducements carried out in accordance with the PPR, policyholder protection rules, would be permissible in terms of Section 44 and Section 45 respectively. We've come up with additional guidelines. You know, we've got a good starting base, but there's a need for further clarity. So we've come up with additional ones that we hope the registrar will be able to use when he draws up the next tranche of, you know, PPR, which is due for release later this year.
Knox, you've got just over 3 minutes left. So
okay.
Is there something you want to draw our attention to before you run out of time?
Yes. The benefit or the positive outcome must directly accrue to the policyholder without the ability to be ceded to parties external to the insurance contract. And this really ensures that the customer doesn't make a decision based on external personal influences.
So give me an example why that. So, I mean, I get a cashback benefit. I can't cede it to my sister.
What I mean is, obviously, it's cashback. You can give it to whoever you want. I'm talking about a built-in inducement that says, if you take out this policy, we'll give your girlfriend a diamond ring. Just as an example.
I see.
You know, you're trying to get married, you can't afford the ring. Hey, let me take this policy. Is it in my best interest? I don't care, I'm trying to get married. They're giving me a ring. You know, the inducement leads to discounts for the policyholder for positive reviews of the insurer, you know, on public platforms, social media. It simply falls short of the provision. That has nothing to do with the insurance contract. you can't offer clients premium discounts for referrals. You can't, and I'd go so far as to say it's almost a pyramid scheme. So if I refer 10 people, you know, are you saying my premium is going to go right down to like what, £5 a month? Who's not going to do that? It doesn't matter what the underlying benefits are going to be. I'm paying £5 a month, so we can't have that.
Thank you, Knox.
Thank you, Knox.
You're dismissed.
I had to dig really deep today to show up, and I think my nerves were very evident, more than any other task that I've really done. But I tried to really push through all of that and give of my best.
So for me, 10 out of 10 to her for understanding the content, understanding the shift in regulations, for taking the TCF principles and making further proposals on permissible inducements in line with TCF. A little bit of confusion between inducements and conflict of interest with brokers.
But I think that's why she had comprehensive notes and this document. And that's why I think she read quite a bit at the beginning, because she knows that when she's explaining something, she tends to do an off-the-cuff thing. And this content's too technical to do that.
And she was the only one out of all 4 of them, I'm sorry, that really listened to the mandate. She came with non or de-identified issues. She came with solutions. She didn't name companies. I mean, she was an FSB employee talking to her peers about what we need to do to address the industry. I think she was, for me, it was by far the best. Really grateful to all of you for the work you put into it and the effort you put into it and the feedback you gave us. We take it seriously. As a matter of fact, one of the presentations I'm going to take straight upstairs and give it to our drafting team and say, consider this. This is good stuff. This has come from the industry. So thank you. Some of you were still lost in your own industry, your own industry position, in the competition issues that you face on a daily basis. As a real FSB employee, you can't afford to have that kind of prejudice. And I know that I always put it in the task, because I know it's particularly hard to do. So it does make it more complex. But I think you all did really, really well, and I look forward to meeting you all again.
And I'm sorry to say that today one of you is not going to be up on that stage as a finalist. But I do want to say this, and I know that I sometimes have a reputation for not giving any praise, but you guys have been a great group. You all deserve to be where you're sitting. And I would have liked it if we could have picked more than one winner, but we can't. And if you didn't do well today, that doesn't necessarily mean you failed at your task. It just means that the other 3 people on the day performed better than you did. Unfortunately, someone goes. And today, that person is Carl. Carl, you've been a great performer. You've been a great competitor. I don't know what happened today. You just kind of went to pieces. And it was at a time when it really counts. So unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to you. You're dismissed. But once again, congratulations for getting this far. Out of 204 people, I think, you're down to the last 3. It's a massive achievement, and I think you've done the industry proud. I'm actually not going to say who the winner was today. We'll leave that for the last. But well done, guys. And again, thanks to Caroline and the FSB. And I'll see you all at the final event.
The journey in the Insurance Apprentice has been amazing. It's been such a nice personal journey for myself in growing and getting to know myself and building relationships with all other apprentices. I definitely regret my performance today and not arriving and bringing my A game. Definitely not happy that I'm leaving today, but you have to take responsibility for your own actions.